What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Morning Vibe. Welcome to Miss Kristen. Let's hit them with the intro music.
Hi.
We do this because if we don't start the intro music, they don't even know we started. It's got a nice beat to it, too, doesn't it? I like it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here to the Morning Vibe and you did not come over from the Cameraman Ron channel, you may not know who this lovely young lady is. If you are here from the Cameraman Ron channel, you might not understand why I'm calling her Kristen and not Krissy, because Kristen is her real name. And for those of you who do not know, Kristen plays Eugene's wife, Krissy, on the Cameraman Ron channel. And we've had a ton of people ask us, like, especially here lately, and I don't know, we've been using Eugene more and more. Where did Krissy come from? A lot of people think you're family of ours. A lot of people think you're based here in Florida. So we're going to kind of go over with you guys the story of Krissy and how Krissy came to be. And so welcome to the Morning Vibe, Miss Kristen.
Thank you.
Do you realize this is the first time you and I have ever been on camera together as Kristen and Ron?
I do.
We've done a lot of stuff as Eugene and Krissy, but we have never been on camera together as Kristen and Ron. And today will be the first day for that. And Kristen is a little nervous. We're gonna get her right out of that here very, very shortly. So kind of talk us through the process. What were your first thoughts when you first started talking to Sarah about this role that you were basically stepping into? Just to give you guys real quick before Kristen goes into this, Sarah basically did a casting call essentially for Eugene's wife, Krissy. We knew exactly kind of what we were looking for looks wise and personality wise. And when Kristen reached out to Sarah, like that, she fit every check mark was checked with you. So kind of talk to us about what your thought process was going into that. I know we've talked about it off camera, but and when a woman called you asking to be her husband's other wife.
It was definitely different. But the whole background was when we seen the casting call, it was actually my husband that actually said, hey, you should, try out for this or apply for it. I was like, okay. So I did it. And then, of course, didn't hear anything. And I was like, I'll just, send Sarah a message and, see how it goes from there. And then, come to find out that you guys were actually from, Kentucky area. And,
right down the street.
Right. And we were just right across the bridge from Kentucky. So kind of, just fell into place, and it's all history from there.
And it was crazy because when you were not the only one. I will tell you, there were so many people that reached out. I was like, hey, my husband told me I should reach out to you. And I'm like, we have really done something special here if we put out a casting call for a wife for somebody, and women's husbands are being like, hey, you should do that. Like, you should go be this crazy redneck's wife, because that would be a lot of fun. So, and when we first did that, when we first started talking about which 100%, and I know you and I have had this conversation, 100%, that was Sarah's brainchild from the get-go, was to have Eugene have his own wife and have it to be somebody that was not her. Because I will tell you, from the first minute you stepped out of that truck here in Florida, there was not a single person on the internet who did not expect that to be Sarah's leg coming out of that truck. Now, if you guys have not seen that video, I'll try to link it up here when we actually introduced Krissy. We spent... golly, probably the better part of a month building you up before we ever showed you on the channel. And by the time you made your first appearance, it was a grand appearance.
Yes,
what was the process like? Were you expecting, or I guess I don't want to set any precedents. What were you expecting it to be like when we first started filming? Because I know you were a nervous wreck that day. Was it more or less than what you were expecting for?
I mean, no, I don't know. I just had fun with it, and I don't know.
It only took her about 30 seconds to get into character. She realized pretty quick that I wanted her to treat Eugene somewhat how she treats her husband Byron. Her real husband Byron, is sitting back here behind the camera. We've actually became great friends with Byron and Kristen throughout the last couple years doing all this. I mean, and you kind of have to. She and I. It's not awkward at all. I mean, we don't do anything weird. I mean, obviously there's hand holding and hugs and all that kind of stuff between Eugene and Krissy. But I mean, for me, it was never awkward. I mean, it always felt natural. I mean, we were always doing things, before we did anything, I always cleared it with her to make sure she was comfortable doing whatever. But I mean, again, we're not doing anything crazy, but it's just always made sure that she was 100% comfortable doing whatever those parts were. But I still think that the hip shove from Eugene to hug the truck was the greatest moment on the Cameraman Ron channel. I probably got more comments And I'm sure Byron's read through and was like, well, if he don't want her, just have Krissy give me a call. Because they were the first, what did we do? The first 6 months, you and Eugene, or Eugene was, I don't know if he didn't like you or if he was just scared of you or what. It was, but he had ran away from home essentially to get away from Krissy. But we did that on purpose because obviously hot wife, why would you run away from home? And Eugene just like, for whatever reason, had this mentality that he just didn't want to be around Krissy. And we ended up letting them make up over some Natty Light somewhere along the line. And it was a lot of fun. So, but in real life, Kristen is actually a nurse from very South Ohio, right across the street, right across the river from Maysville, Kentucky. You how many kids do you guys have? Two.
Yep, we have 2 boys.
Yeah, same as us. They got 2 boys. I remember when the first time Kristen came down, and if I call her Krissy, sorry, it's really easy to get confused, obviously. So, and here's what's crazy. So we had narrowed it down to, what was it, 3 names, Sarah? She's not listening. Sarah's over there editing the video. She's not listening. But Krissy was one of the names we had picked out. Like, we basically had went online and we had done some research for like crazy girl names. I mean, essentially, that's what we kind of, and I can't remember what the other ones were now, but Krissy was one of the names that we had narrowed it down that we were going to call Eugene's wife, because everything about that was very well staged and planned. And when Kristen reached out, I was like, this is meant to be. I'm like, one of the names is Krissy and her name's Kristen. I'm like, we can't go wrong with this. So you brought your boys down the first trip. Did you tell them ahead of time what was going on, what we were doing?
Oh, yeah. And they thought it was cool, so.
That you were going to play somebody else's wife. So Byron was all about it from the get-go. We actually, we've had people ask us, if Byron's always around. And yes, Byron's always with us. When we're all shooting, we're all together. Byron's actually been in a video. We did it. I don't know if you guys are new here. He was actually the one that confronted Eugene about treating Krissy badly at a brewery one night. We did all kinds of stuff, and a lot of people have asked us how it works. So essentially what we do, if we know that Byron and Kristen are coming down and we've got a week or we've got a couple days that we can film, we'll build a storyline up and we'll shoot all those different episodes, usually in like a day. We kind of go through the ringer that day. So like the first time we shot, I think we shot enough footage for 6 different episodes with you. And then we had, the 4th of July episode last year, Kristen was in it. So we just make sure that when we do shoot with her, we've got a little bit of a storyline put together and arced out. And then that way, when they're here, we can go ahead and film 3 or 4 episodes with Krissy in them. So what's your favorite thing about Eugene?
All of him. He's so sexy.
You're Kristen today. You don't have to play Krissy.
But you're talking about my husband.
You're talking about she does so well too. And it's funny because we, when we put stuff out, I've put pictures of you and I on social media before, and we've had so many questions. People thought you were family of ours because you were from Kentucky. Nobody knew that we actually did a casting call to get somebody in. How excited was Byron when you told him that you were going to be playing the part of Krissy, since he was all for it from the get go?
Oh yeah, he's like, I told you should have done it. See, you always should listen to me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Krissy comes out. Listen, y'all, once you get to know Kristen in real life, sometimes Krissy does come out in her everyday life, especially with Byron. We should have just nicknamed Byron Eugene Jr. or something like that and let him roll with that, because the inner Krissy definitely comes out on him sometimes. So
attitude.
It was funny because once I told her, we did the initial meeting or whatever, and we actually went fishing the first day they got down here when we first met. They both love fishing. That was something we went out on the Mako. We didn't film anything that morning. We literally just went out and kind of got to know each other, just talked for a little while, and just kind of got the ideas, kind of went over what I wanted to do, what my vision was for that. And by about an hour, Byron's like, bro, that's her. He's like, she's not going to have to act at all. He's like, that's pretty much her to a nutshell. Sassy, a little bit of attitude every now and then. We like it. We like it. So, obviously you've been on the channel a lot. Has anybody ever recognized you out and about while you're down here?
Not really down here because, actually, yes, I take that back.
Okay.
When we were in the truck, we went to Outcast, and somebody recognized us there. But other than that, that's really about it.
It happened.
I always try to wear my PY T-shirt though. So
there you go. Yeah. So Krissy it's funny because that brand has exploded for Sarah. I mean, it truly has. Like, and we
it's
did
awesome.
that at the beginning when Eugene used to not get along with anybody. Sarah hated him. I'm not sure that Krissy even liked him. She loved him, but she didn't like him. And he was calling her the PYT because it annoyed her. She didn't like it. And now she's built this entire like channel brand on her channel of the PYT life and the PYT life movement. And we had shirts made for Krissy and Sarah. How did that play out? I'm trying to remember did he give you all the shirts as a gift?
Well, it was our wedding day.
Oh, that's right.
And,
yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, we even had a wedding, like sort of. It was fake, of course, but I did the hair. That was the first time I'd ever showed Eugene on channel without a hat on. And the first time you had ever seen him without a hat as well.
Did not like it. Nope.
And Krissy did not like Eugene without his hat on. He definitely has to rock the America hat for her, but it's been fun doing
absolutely.
like I hope it's been as fun for you playing that part it has been for us to, put the story behind it and figure it out.
Absolutely. It's been a blast. And, we've done that, but also the thing that I like about it most is building the friendship.
Yeah. And we truly have. Like the last time they were down, they stayed at the house. I mean, it's we truly have. We've built a very strong friendship between the four of us. I mean, and you kind of have to because obviously, we've always all gotten along. There's never been a time where we didn't get along. But, when Kristen and I are on camera together, I mean, we're acting as husband and wife. And so you almost have to get along. I mean, Byron can't be a jealous dude and getting mad every time, Eugene holds Krissy's hand on camera. And it's always been, Sarah's the same way. And it's always been, we've developed a really, really good friendship through brokering that whole storyline. And I never dreamed when we first introduced that character that it would build into what it's built into today. I mean, we've had shirts launched. I mean, Eugene's got his own, I almost slipped up. Eugene's got some stuff coming up in the very near future that you guys are going to be excited about. But it's wild to see what it has turned into. But absolutely, I mean, I think the friendships that we've built off of that has been insane. And Eugene has made a couple of public appearances. We may need to try one night to get Eugene and Krissy out somewhere together, like
good.
where we were both maybe, I don't know, do a restaurant or maybe even like I'm going to tell you what would be what would be hilarious is if we went to a fishing pier.
Oh, absolutely.
Because no one recognizes us more than when we're on fishing piers. That's just like for me personally as cameraman Ron, I get recognized and noticed more on fishing piers, a lot at boat ramps and usually at the bait and tackle shops. That's the three big ones. And Walmart.
Yes.
I don't know, like there's just something about Walmart, like the people there, those must be my people. Because when we go to Walmart, well, I say that. It's only if Sarah looks bad. That's the truth. You can ask her. She's got her headset on. She's over there working on her video that's going to drop later on today. But if we walk out of the house and she's a hot mess, somebody's going to see us at Walmart that like knows who we are. So, but that would be funny to take Krissy and Kristen, or Krissy and Eugene out on I said Krissy and Kristen, take Krissy and Eugene out on a fishing pier one day just to see how many people recognize us.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone out in public as Krissy?
No.
No. Now you've had an interesting summer. Can we talk about your summer a little bit?
Sure.
From a personal level, Kristen, like I said, she's a nurse, but you had something really, really cool that you did this spring this year. Yeah. What did you decide to go out and audition for this year?
So I, again, thought it was a good idea, a good experience, I should say. But
No, it was a great idea.
Okay, yes, it was a great idea and a great experience. But I actually auditioned or went to prep classes and tried out to be a big old cheerleader. But unfortunately, my last prep class, I ended up pulling my abductor muscle.
That's a leg.
Yes, it is. The inner.
You got to use little words for us in my audience.
Sorry about that.
It's her leg.
Yeah, my inner part of my leg, and it was on my right leg. So, I still went forward with it and still tried out. But unfortunately, all the big stuff that we had to do was all on your right leg.
Sure.
So, but I still gave it my all and all that. But the cards just did not play out this year. So I'm planning on hopefully trying it again next year. So,
but at the end of the day, I mean, like you were out on Paul Brown Stadium's field. Like, I mean, I saw the pictures and stuff, and we talked, throughout the process. Yep. Had to be a great experience just to do that, though. Did you meet anybody that you've kept up with?
There was a few actually girls that tried out closer to home. So I have their numbers, and we communicate some. But all the actual, Bengals cheerleaders, that was, previous, like last year's Bengals cheerleaders, all great people. They're great girls.
Now, so how does that work with, because I know like Dallas, like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, they have to retry out every year. There's no grace in. Is that the same thing for Cincinnati? Like
Yes, every year.
Okay, so no matter, obviously they have a little bit of an advantage.
Right,
There's no way they don't, but so they do make them try out again each year, whether they were on the squad the year before or not.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and that's a grueling, like, golly, I feel like I watched you go through that for months.
Yeah. Let's see, it started, I know the actual application process and everything started in February. And the prep classes started in March, and we tried out, it was late April, beginning of May.
Yeah, so it was a full 2-3 month process. Week. Yeah. I just remember seeing, like, I was talking to Byron some, and I just remember seeing, like, every week I was like, is she ever going to actually try out for this? Like, what is happening right now?
Yep.
I'd text Byron, I'd be like, hey, has tryouts happened yet? No, they're in a few weeks. I'm like, few weeks, like we've been doing this for like 2 months. What's happened? I was really excited because if you had made it, bet your ass Eugene was coming to a Bengals game. I bet you every dollar I got, Krissy would have been on the sidelines. She would have had Eugene in the audience holding a sign for her. I promise you that. And
that'd been awesome.
No question whatsoever, Eugene would have showed up at a Bengals game, and he still might. I may show up and with a let her in sign or something.
There we go.
For Krissy, like, you guys really messed up. Like, just let her in constantly from Eugene. So, so obviously you love fishing. What's your you and Byron went fishing this weekend.
Yeah.
It's been slow here. Now, you guys know we just got back from Myrtle Beach. Byron and Kristen went offshore yesterday, and been pretty slow.
It was. We caught several bonita, but only 2 red snapper. But it was. We had a couple really good hits though. Pretty sure one was a wahoo, but
is that the one?
We'll never know because it has a $90 lure attached to it.
Yeah,
that
was literally the first thing Byron said to me was, "I lost a $100 lure yesterday." Like, we hadn't even made it off the elevator at the office. He's like, "I lost a $100 lure last yesterday." And I'm like, "I get it, dude. Like, those hurt so bad." When we went down and fished with Darcizzle and Brian, ironically, and you guys have seen this now if you're tuning out the camera on our own channel, I wanted to catch a ribbon fish because they were catching like 5-6 foot ribbon fish down in South Florida. I drove down there just to go out and fish with them to target these ribbon fish. And they were using, for these ribbon fish, they were using those $26, $27 X-Wraps, the big ones. Yep. And we cut off like 6 of those that day. And I was just like, I'm so sorry. Like, you want me to bite? And they're like, no, it's fine. It's fine. But I mean, it was just like, and what was crazy is that had never happened to them before. They were, they just don't get cut off, but I guess they were just hitting just above the head and they were cutting our line off. But it hurts to lose any fish. There's 2 things that hurts more than anything. And it's not your most expensive lure. It's your favorite lure. Like, if you have got a lure that you've only got one of, and you catch a lot of fish on it and you lose that, man, that hurt. I'd rather lose a $100 lure than, a lure that I've caught a bunch of fish on, I think.
Yep.
It's just that money. Yeah. Byron's over there like, no, probably not. Like, you didn't lose that $100 lure yesterday that I lost. So I'm going to blame it on your knot. You had a bad knot. Tell him that. Tell him it was a bad knot next. Do it immediately. Like, as soon as the fish breaks off, just be like, yeah, that was probably a bad knot. I bet he'll be real happy if that's how.
He'll probably throw me overboard.
Nah, he wouldn't do that. If he's anything like me, we get frustrated, but we know we can't live without y'all. It's like, Sarah, like, if I threw her overboard, my life would be, I wouldn't even know where to go tomorrow. Like, if Sarah wasn't sitting here right now, I wouldn't know where I was supposed to be tomorrow for the most part. She completely handles my schedule and all that kind of crazy stuff. So, big plans for the rest of the year. You guys coming back down anytime soon?
We are looking to next month as well. So,
nice. Hopefully the fishing will be better. I think we're going to try to fish this afternoon, but it's just like, I've been out 2 days in a row, and I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not impressed right now. Maybe, I don't know if the bad fishing from Myrtle Beach followed me home or what the deal is, but it's been less than spectacular, and I'm doing stuff that I always do. Like, I took blue crabs to the bridge yesterday and soaked them, and nothing.
Wow.
Which is unheard of. I've lost a lot of fish at the bridge fishing with blue crabs, but I've at least hooked some. I mean, yesterday, I just didn't even get a nibble. I just let them sit there and soak, and there was just nothing happening. So, gotta love it.
Yeah.
You gotta love it. Well, guys, that's about all the time we got today. We gotta try to keep these around 20, 25 minutes for you. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. We've had so many people ask us where Krissy came from, how we got Krissy, where she entered the picture at. So I wanted to kind of sit down and kind of tell that story. I got Sarah from Walmart and I got Krissy from the internet. So that's she's my redneck mail order bride.
There you go.
Everybody needs one of those for sure. Anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, and I, maybe speaking, with the audience as well. I'm, really wanting Krissy to, fish with her husband sometime.
That's right. You and Eugene have never fished together, which I don't let Eugene fish on the channel very often. Well, we'll have to talk about off camera why, but I mean, I don't let Eugene fish on the channel, but we can make that happen. Maybe when you guys back down next month, we need to take the Mako out, and you and I need to go out and do Krissy and Eugene. Do you know there are still a select, very, very small, but a select group of people who still do not understand that Eugene is me? Like,
I can believe it.
I mean, I understand to an extent because what I'm able to do with him digitally is just, it's some people just don't understand that. We have an older audience, and some of our audience is older, I should say, and they can't grasp the concept of how easy it is for me to put myself and Eugene on camera. So all it takes is that one person who's kind of on the fence, and then they see us on camera together, and it's like, oh, it's definitely not the same person. I told you it's not. So the hardest videos to make for us, because everybody wants to, it's like, why don't you use Eugene more? Why don't you? And there's two reasons. One, I told Sarah in the very beginning that I didn't want to overuse that character. I want it to be magical, so to speak. And if you put him in there for 5 minutes in every video, it kind of loses its luster a little bit, and you overplay it. It could very, very easily be overplayed. But I put him in every 5 or 6 videos for a minute or two, and I think that's just enough. And I've told people before, and people are like, why? What is the point? Well, the point is I can arc fishing videos together with that story, with your and I's story. I mean, when we introduced you to the channel, there were people chomping at the bit, waiting for that video to drop, to where when we were finally going to introduce you, and we played that. And I say let me back up. Sarah, Sarah played that so well from like when we decided, because the big question was, how were we going to do your reveal? Like, what were we going to do? And Sarah came up. She's like, she played that whole thing where she kept threatening to call you. She kept threatening to call Krissy on Eugene. And because Eugene didn't want Krissy to know where he was. He was hiding from her. She was up in Kentucky. He's hiding out from her down here in Florida. And when we finally introduced you, Sarah's like, I know what I'm going to do. She's like, when you leave the house to go fishing, she's like, I'm going to act all happy and giddy and da-da-da-da. And she's like, and then when you get home, Krissy's going to be here. And we played that so well. I mean, we really did, because we did that. And then like I'm driving down the truck and I was like, oh my, like if you haven't seen that whole video series, it really is some of my favorite stuff we've ever put out. And, when you stepped out of that truck, we put it in slow motion. There was music. I mean, it was a cinematic event. And like I had a lot of women mad at me over that. A lot of our older audience. Yeah. A lot of people didn't realize that Sarah was the one that orchestrated that whole deal. And I'm like, guys, just think about how stupid this sounds from a man's perspective. Right. All right, baby, listen, I know how I got my alter ego on the channel. Yeah. Here's what I want to do. I want to get him his own wife. Not you. I want to get him like a hot blonde. I don't want it to be you. Okay. No man alive is that stupid to try to have a conversation like that with his real wife. So every bit of that was Sarah's like brainchild. She was the one behind that and wanted to do that. And when she approached me with the idea, I was like, I was fine with it. I said, I thought it was a great idea from the word go, because I knew it was going to, like, the audience engagement was going to be through the roof, which it was. But I told her, I'm like, you're the one that has to make the calls to these girls. I'm like, it can't be me. I can't be the one be like, hey, you want to come be my wife on TV? Because I have a real wife, and I just want you to be my wife on TV for my redneck alter ego. You good with that? I was like, you have to make these calls, which she did. Yeah. So the first time I talked to Kristen,
it was actually both of you on speakerphone.
Yeah, so. We both jumped on there on speakerphone one night. She told me she thought she had found somebody, because I literally let that entire process up to her. I was not involved in that whatsoever. I think she talked to, I know 3 different young ladies, including you, maybe 4, but I was not involved in that process whatsoever until she basically told me, she's like, hey, she's like, we're going to go with Kristen. She's like, I want to jump on a call so we can all just kind of meet each other and just kind of, you know, get an idea for what we want to do. And I was like, that's fine with me. I don't even know that I'd seen you before that phone call. I think like even a picture.
Yeah, no.
And then after we did the phone call that night, I looked it up and I was like, yeah, she's perfect. So
Yeah. Or wait, did we have to send pictures in? Did we need to send a picture in?
I
can't remember.
Again, that was all Sarah. I don't remember.
if we had to or not.
I think she just looked at your pictures on it,
Maybe.
Facebook. I think is what it was. Because I think originally we were doing all communication through Facebook.
Right.
So I think she just, you know, because we did have, you know, you don't want to be stereotypical, but we did have a type that we wanted for that role. I mean, you know, there was definitely some, you know, specific specifications that we were looking for. Byron, you can speak.
I don't know what you're saying.
It was Instagram.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So Byron's back there. Have we ever not let you talk, Byron? Byron's back here like doing sign language. I'm like, what is he talking about? I'm like, do you understand what he's saying right now? Because I don't understand.
My face was like blank, just staring at
In
him.
case you're wondering, apparently this is Byron's sign for Instagram. In case what was you doing?
IG.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Bro, there is no chance we're going to be able to read that over here. What do you do? He said he was trying to write out IG. I love you, man.
That's good. That's
I
good.
did not know that's what you were trying to do over there. I thought you were
Right,
swiping
yeah.
left and right. I was like, Tinder? Did we meet on Tinder? Is that what happened just now? I'm like so confused. That would have been awesome. We should have wrote that into the storyline that Kristen. We should have
Right.
came up with like some kind of redneck
That'd be
Tinder
good.
thing and said that that's where we met, like throughout that story. Because I don't even remember how we said we met or if we even did. But it was funny because, and then I promise we're going to wrap this up, but I want to tell this one last story. The first question I used to get for Eugene was they wanted his backstory. And I was always so cautious not to give it. And it was the best decision that I personally ever made for that character. And I don't mind to say that because so many people have built Eugene to what they want him to be. And by not giving him a backstory and telling people every little detail, you could talk to Byron and he might tell you his story of what he thinks, where he thinks Eugene came from. And this is if they're not involved at all. And then you might go talk to Kristen, and if she's following the channel, she might give you an entirely different story. And we did that on purpose. We left it open-ended because I wanted that character to have, like, I wanted him to be versatile. Like, people see him from different things. Some people hate him. I mean, there's definitely people that absolutely hate when I put Eugene in a video. But the vast majority of people absolutely love it. They think it's funny. It was always meant to be funny. It was never supposed to be serious. The only time we use him in a serious capacity is on Memorial Day. You will never see me joke around with Eugene on Memorial Day. 100%. We always keep him serious. If you didn't see the 4th of July video from 2 or 3 days ago with Eugene, go watch it.
Bless his heart, he's so excited.
Like right now, yeah. And he was so upset because Uncle Sam didn't come. Yeah. And that was funny because last year when Kristen and Byron happened to be down right before the 4th of July, and we were able to shoot with Krissy for that. And I remember vividly, like you did so well improv that with Sarah, and Sarah's like, he does know Uncle Sam's not real, and you're like, no, she's like, he's believed that ever since he was a little boy. So when we got married, I just kept on giving him stuff. I was like, she did such a good job with that. So.
Yes. Who couldn't love Eugene?
Yeah, I know it. Well, thank you so much for everything you do for our channel. I mean, we truly appreciate you. That character and that story arc would not be what it is today without, you jumping in there head over heels and helping us out with that. We truly appreciate that. So,
no problem at all. I have fun. So,
well, that's the main thing. We always want you guys to have fun. So, well, guys, that's all I got for you today. I truly hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a great big thumbs up. As always, make sure you find a way to make somebody smile. You never know. It just might change the world. We can't wait to see y'all on the next one. Y'all take care, and we'll see you soon.